Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while, but I'm finally back with another reading wrap up video. So this one is my reading wrap up for May specifically, and let's just get started. So in the month of May, I read about 5 books. I finished 3, DNF'd 1, and the other one I'm kind of like putting it on hold because I kind of lost steam to read that type of genre. And I don't want to force myself to read something I'm not really feeling it at the moment because if you guys follow me, I'm perpetually in a reading slump. So let's just get started. The first book that I finished in the month of May is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And the synopsis for this book is: in a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? So I gave this book a 4-star rating out of 5. And the reason for that is because I really, really, really enjoyed the book. Unexpectedly so. I thought the book was just going to be like a fun but average read for me. I didn't expect to get really invested in our main characters and to be really invested in their friendships. Because for the first half of the book, it was just a cozy read. It was just a fun read. But then the more I read the book, the more I felt really attached to these characters and the more I cared about what they did during the day, about their adventures, about everything basically. It just felt like reading about your friends, like catching up on their lives. And it just so happens that their lives included a bit of murder. But I would say the weakest part of the book is the murder aspect itself. The murder mystery was not the strongest suit because I felt like the how it was revealed towards the end was very, it just came out of nowhere. I like my mystery to have the clues given to us, and then towards the end, we just connect all the clues. But this one, the clues were not exactly given to us. So when it was revealed, I just felt like it just came out of left field. And I just felt like, oh, okay. I mean, sure, you know, it's not the best murder mystery that I've read, but it's compensated by the fact that I really like our main characters. So that is my rating for the Thursday Murder Club. The reason why I didn't give it a 5-star rating is because of the murder mystery. I just felt like that's the weakest point. And then because I like reading the first book so much that I continued reading the second installment in the series, which is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. The synopsis is: it's the following Thursday. Elizabeth has received a letter from an old colleague, a man with whom she has a long history. He needs her help. His story involves stolen diamonds, a violent mobster, and a very real threat to his life. Bodies start piling up. Elizabeth enlists Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron in the hunt for a ruthless murderer. And if they find the diamonds too, well, wouldn't that be a bonus? But this time, they are up against an enemy who wouldn't bat an eyelid at knocking off 4 septuagenarians. Can the Thursday Murder Club find the killer before the killer finds them? In this book, I also gave it a 4 stars rating out of 5. And surprisingly, I enjoyed this book even more than the first one because the first one laid the foundations of us knowing our main characters, getting attached to them, liking their personalities. And then the second book, we were just like all full steam ahead. And I was invested. Like when in this book, the reason why Ibrahim was not in the main adventure was because at the start of the book, he was mugged and some kids kicked him in the head. Like when that happened and I read it, I was honestly furious and upset on his behalf because Ibrahim was like living his best life, finally getting the bravery to go out of his shell and also his comfort zone, to go to Fairhaven, to go read a book at a coffee shop all alone, just living his best life. And then for the mugging to happen so soon, when he just started being brave, it pissed me off because I love Ibrahim. I want him to be happy. I want him to live his best life, you know? And then so the gang goes on to kind of like a revenge plot uh, where they want to take revenge on the guy that mugged Ibrahim, which I love. I liked it. They need to get revenge. That guy was a shithead. And then I like the adventures because we're just following the life of our main characters. And in this book, we finally get to find out that the person that contacted Elizabeth for help is her ex husband. And her ex husband is hot. And this is also when we figured out, well, I figured out, no, I figured out in the last book, but this is more like confirmation that Elizabeth was a spy, which kind of makes sense because she has all these connections to get everything done. And the only way you can have those types of connections is because if you is when you work with the government, like undercover style, you know? So I definitely enjoyed this book far more than the first book. I would say the murder mystery again wasn't the strongest suit. It's just kind of like there. The murder mystery was there, but the main charm of this book was the friendships. Not only between our four gang, but also we include Bogdan, we include Donna, and also Chris. Chris and Donna are the police, and Bogdan is kind of like the helper now. Bogdan has become one of my favorite characters aside from our main four because he just loves and helps Stephen and Elizabeth. Stephen is Elizabeth's current husband. She's been with him since forever, but unfortunately for him, he currently has dementia. So or Alzheimer's. So Bogdan helps out. And I just find it sweet, you know, like Elizabeth is scared. Like, honestly, I'd be scared too. But yeah, I am not making sense in this video. Like, my reviews are all over the place. I'm not making sense. It's because I already wrote my reviews and I can't remember it right now. Like, I just like the book. Okay, I did continue to read the third book, and I was already halfway through the third book, which is what is the third book? Oh, The Bullet That Missed. I was halfway through it, and then I just lost the steam to read murder mystery. You know, I don't know what happened. I was really enjoying it. I just lost the steam. Maybe I will continue to read it, you know. So I will put that in my June TBR. The next book that I read in the month of May is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. I do not enjoy this book. So let us see what is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. Okay, I got completely sidetracked because my Wi-Fi was being weird. So anyways, Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. For what do you hunger, Lenore? Lenore is the wife of steel magnate Henry, but 10 years into their marriage, the relationship has soured and no child has arrived to fill the distance growing between them. Henry's ambitions take them out of London and to the imposing Nethershaw Manor in the countryside, where Henry aims to host a hunt with society's finest. Lenore keeps a terrible secret from the last time her husband hunted, and though they never speak of it, it haunts their marriage to this day. The preparations for the event take a turn when a carriage accident near their remote home brings the mysterious Carmilla into Lenore's life. Carmilla is weak and pale during the day but vibrant at night. Carmilla, who stirs up a hunger deep within Lenore. Soon, girls from local villages begin to fall sick before being consumed by a bloody hunger. Torn between regaining her husband's affections and Carmilla's ever-growing presence, Lenore begins to unravel her past and in doing so uncovers a darkness in her household that will place her at terrible risk. So this book, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. I did not enjoy it. And the reason for that is because the first half of, okay, let me just reel it back in. I give it 2.5 out of 5. The writing style, I enjoyed it to an extent. I felt like the writing was very beautifully written. The prose was very ethereal, and it gave what it needed to give because the vibe of the book was very ethereal, gothic vibes, you know? And I got that. The writing delivered that. What the writing did not deliver was the plot execution. The plot was very repetitive in the sense that Carmilla is obviously just a character that's there to be a catalyst for Lenore to be awakened, you know, to be independent, to be brave enough to see that her current situation was not suiting her. Carmilla is not a character. She's just a catalyst. Because when you read it, Carmilla was just kind of just there, you know? She's just asking questions like, oh, what do you hunger, Lenore? Why do you like this? Why do you do this? Why do you have to always listen to Henry? He's not being kind to you. Like, why do you still continue? She's just asking these questions, but there doesn't seem to be like an absolute answer. So I just see her as kind of like a catalyst of just kind of like being there, but she's not the character that will define something, you know, that will not give a definite answer to Lenore. So we have a few scenes where something weird would happen, like really, really bizarre, that Lenore would obviously witness. Like the first scene, I think, was her maid eating Carmilla's hair. Obviously, that's weird. Why are you eating your guest's hair? And then she just dismisses it. She doesn't want to think about it. Like she's just in denial, because the more she thinks about it, the more she would have to face facts that her current life is shit, you know? She doesn't want to think about it. So I'm like, okay, fine, sure. Another thing would happen, and this scene, if I'm not mistaken, is a village girl eating a live chicken. Like she's just biting that poor chicken, just chomping on it. Obviously, Lenore sees it, and again, she goes back into denial. And the more she goes into denial, she's just like, okay, a fox just ate the chicken. And I'm like, all right. She doesn't want to see basically what is right there in front of her, especially since she knows, or she has hints that her husband's cheating on her. Something is definitely wrong at her husband's workplace, but she just doesn't want to see. And it repeats again in another scene where this time Lenore goes to town and she sees, I think if I'm not mistaken, Henry, her husband, and Cora, her friend, coming out of a hotel, I think. And then she's just like, why are they together? She doesn't confront. And I'm like, why don't you confront? She doesn't feel like confronting them. She doesn't want to think about it. Okay, fine. And then she walks around. She finds this woman who I think chopped up her husband and is cannibalizing his meat and eating it. And then she faints or something. And then again, she just doesn't want to see. She is constantly in denial. And it just repeats again and again and again. And it's just so annoying because I understand that this was, I don't know, I don't know which century this is. 20th, I guess 20th century. And I get that back then women didn't have a lot of agency for their own life. But like Lenore is a smart girl. You know, she's a smart woman. And I understand she has her her background and her childhood memories and the things that happened to her when she was younger were absolutely horrendous. But it just got tedious every single time. It just keeps repeating up until finally, and the whole thread, the whole time this is happening, of these weird things happening, Carmilla will be like, "What do you hunger? Like, what? You're feeding the wrong hunger." And finally, it culminates towards the end where, finally, Lenore has had enough. I'm not going to spoil it. I mean, I've spoiled a few things that happens, but I'm not going to spoil the ending. And I was kind of hoping that all of these repetitive scenes or subplots will culminate into a good ending, will culminate into something. But it doesn't. At the end, Lenore just freaks the fuck out and starts going on a rampage. And at towards the end, you thought that Henry and Cora were in an affair, but I guess they were not. I don't know, because it doesn't explain, because the book just ends. Cora is, I won't, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. But basically, it's like you thought that Henry and Cora were in an affair, but they weren't. So then it makes me think, Who is gaslighting who? Who is the bad guy here? I don't. Am I just too dumb to understand this book? I don't know, but the ending was not executed well. Did not like this book. You can read it if you want to, but I didn't enjoy it. So now we shall go to our June TBR. So for the month of June, I have a few books that I do plan on reading because either they're buddy reads or they're my book club book of the month. And the first book that I will read, then this is my buddy read, which is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I don't think I have to explain you guys what the synopsis is, especially since the movie just came out. So, first book is for my June TBR is Project Hail Mary, Andy Weir. This is my buddy read. Next book is His and Hers, I think, by Alice Feeney, and this is my book of the month. And for this one, there are two sides to every story, yours and mine, ours and theirs, his and hers, which means someone is always lying. When a woman is murdered in Blackdown, a, a quintessentially British village, newsreader Anna Andrews is reluctant to cover the case. Detective Jack Harper is suspicious of her involvement until he becomes a suspect in his own murder investigation. Someone isn't telling the truth, and some secrets are worth killing to keep. So that is my book of the month for my book club, his and hers. The next book I'm going to read is, now that I think about it, I will continue reading The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman since I'm already halfway. Next book I'm going to read, and this one, the reason why I choose to read this book for June is because my friend has lent this book for months on end, and I kind of feel bad that it's been with me forever. So I'm going to read this book, finish it, and obviously give it back because I feel so bad. It's been like months. And the book is Azrael si Penjejak Kubur. So, tahun 2099 dunia kini sedang bergelut dalam perang yang berpanjangan. 95% kematian di bumi ketika ini adalah di medan perang. Jadi dengan beratus-ratus juta mayat yang bergelimpangan di sana, siapa yang perlu menguruskan? Ketika inilah wujudnya penjejak kubur, mereka diupah oleh ahli keluarga untuk mencari mayat waris mereka yang terkorban dan membawa mayat itu pulang. Mereka perlu pergi ke medan perang demi memenuhi permintaan ahli keluarga yang sedang berkabung. Azrael, seorang penduduk bandar Kersani, merupakan penjejak kubur yang mempunyai pengalaman selama 10 tahun. Dia diupah oleh seorang usahawan bagi mencari suaminya yang terkorban di medan perang. Tapi apa yang ditemui Azrael mengejutkannya. Sejak itu segala-galanya berubah. Apa yang ditemui oleh Azrael. So basically in English, the world is 2099. The world is in war, and 95% of death is due to the war. Everybody's at war, and nobody knows how to take the bodies back. So it creates a new job vacancy and a job description, which is Penjejak Kubur, which basically is grave locator, if you want to get the direct translation. So Penjejak Kubur are basically a bunch of people whose main job is to go to the war site and find the bodies. So Azrael is being hired by a businesswoman where she wants him to find where her husband's body is. So he goes there, but the thing that he finds is not the thing that he needs to find. Something else is happening. So what is it? And my last book for June is Bagaikan Putri by Ramli Awang Murshid. So this one is Haryani dan Laksamana Sunan saling jatuh cinta. Pertemuan kedua insan ini dalam satu dimensi di luar batas jangkauan manusia. Malah sukar diterima logik akal. Mereka dari zaman yang berbeza. Haryani terperangkap dalam perkelahian antara kebaikan dengan kebatilan manusia. Perjalanan yang panjang, penuh randau dan cabaran membuatkan Haryani dan Saifuddin mendiamkan sahaja cinta yang terpendam. Dani pertama kali melihat Haryani yang terlantar di koma di hospital terus jatuh hati. Dia berusaha membawa Haryani kembali ke semula ke abad 21. Antara dua lelaki, Haryani terpaksa membuat pilihan antara dua nyawa dalam jasadnya. Sama ada tinggal dengan Laksamana Sunan pada penghujung kurun ke-15 atau kembali semula ke abad 21. Tiada dua kehidupan dalam zaman yang berlainan. Salah satu kehidupan ini mesti mati. So in English, this book is basically about Haryani. Some way, somehow, her soul isekai'd itself or regressed itself back to the 15th century. And there she is in love with Saifuddin, who is, I think, Laksamana Sunan, I think. And but her body, like her soul, is back in the 15th century somewhere, somehow. But her body is still currently in the 21st century. So in the 21st century, we have Dani. So now we have one soul, no, wait, one body, two souls? One body, two souls, and two guys. So who's she gonna choose? Yeah, I'm terrible. This video is terrible. That is it for my wrap up. Honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed that my review is horrific. So if you want to get my proper review, please check out either my Substack, my Instagram, or anywhere else that I posted my reviews early on, because I'm not making sense in this review. So that is it for this video. I'm going to go now. Bye.